Hello, friends. We're here for another edition of Let's Talk Veterans Affairs with Dennis Anderson. I am he. Our job is to talk to veterans about the issues that matter to them and to communicate things that will maybe help families and people who love the veteran to support them. And if you like what we're doing, please hit a subscribe button. That helps us continue with our work. The work we're doing today is we're in several parts of a conversation with Jerry Rice. My guest is a licensed marriage and family therapist. He is also a combat infantryman who served in Vietnam as a grunt. And what was the title specifically?
Scout dog handler.
Scout dog handler with the 101st Airborne Division. So the last time we met, you talked about a little bit about the combat environment, a little bit about the jungle, some things related to fear factors, some factors related to service and its ongoing stuff.
Yeah.
That every soldier, and for that matter, sailor, airman, marine, at times you're always going to be dealing with the chain of command, and that's part of it.
Right.
But we've known each other for a good while, and I've always known the good Jerry.
Yes.
You came home really without your knowledge. You had served as a draftee, and you had served, however grudgingly or willingly, but you had punched in your time. You'd survived the combat zone. How did you feel, or what did you experience when you were coming home and when you got home?
Well, when I got home, I was called a murderer at LAX by somebody, but that was the one of those situations that you'd hear about. You know, people challenging you. That was about it. Nobody did anything else.
Were you in uniform?
I was in uniform.
Yeah.
And I got out of my uniform very quickly, and I tried to re-assimilate into civilian life. I took 2 weeks off from my job. I thought that would be enough. You know,
Okay.
2 weeks. I went back to work for the gas company. I went and talked, and I worked for World War II vets at the time. And they said, "Where you been, kid?" And I said, "Oh, I've been in Vietnam." "Well, how long were you there?" I said, "A year." And these World War II vets said, "A year? I could do a year stand on my ear." I left my wife when she was pregnant, had a kid in kindergarten when I got back. You know, those kind of stories, you know.
So you got dissed by fellow veterans.
Oh yeah, so that's the last time I talked to those guys about it. Yeah,
Ah.
you know, it's like, yeah, they'd been in the big one. And here I was, just a Vietnam veteran, and so I went along with my life. I went and got a bachelor's degree, and ended up going back to work for the gas company. And I was in the pipe trades for 10 years with the gas company, and another 10 years for the contractors. And I worked with other Vietnam veterans on the crew. One of them was a backhoe operator. He was actually on the LZ with me and Fanti at LZ Betty at the same time I was there, and had never known him. But
Now you're a clinical counselor, and you've been one for a good while.
right.
But what are things that you would identify in yourself if you were looking back that would be markers for what we call post-traumatic stress disorder,
Oh yeah.
the most common affliction for people who are survivors of combat?
Well, I had a very strong, exaggerated startle response. I was hypervigilant. I didn't like crowds.
You still are
Oh
sometimes.
yes, I still am. I didn't like crowds. I had to sit in certain spots in restaurants, and I didn't know how to communicate that to my wife, and so I was just this weird guy that drank too much beer, was to myself a lot, detached from the family, isolative, insulative with regard to my experiences.
How come it was difficult to talk with your wife about that?
Well, the context of what I was tasked with doing and what I saw, it was just you weren't supposed to do that. You were supposed to just suck it up and move on and
Suck
pick
it
up your
and move
life.
on. Right.
And I went back to work, and I worked hard and partied hard, and my family paid the price for that. You know, Disneyland is not the happiest place on earth. It's a target-rich environment.
Target rich has
You know
stuff
what?
blows up.
That's. I mean, you know, I laugh about it now, but it wasn't funny to my family. You know, it was. Yeah, Dad's different. You know, he's a different kind of guy than a lot of people.
You said you'd check the perimeter outside the house.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I wanted to know what was going on around me at all times, and yeah, and I was hair triggered. You know, 0 to 60 in a nanosecond. You know, the road rage. You know, just very hot headed. And I worked with a group of people that I could run kind of like a squad.
Sure.
We'd get pipe in the ground by lunchtime and drink beer the rest of the day. You know, I mean, it was just we worked hard, we did the job, but there was a lot of aberrant behavior that went with that. You know, and my family paid the price.
So your wife's name is Carol, and
Yes.
she basically kind of learned how to cope or put up with this or work around it.
Well, right. Well, in a crisis period in our relationship, we both read Patience Mason's book, Recovering from the War, written by Robert Mason, who wrote Chicken Hawk. He was a pilot
Roger.
during the Idrang.
Very well.
And his wife wrote a book because of his behavior, so it was perfect for us. It was from her perspective, a family member's perspective. You see, veterans don't have their problems in a vacuum. They have them in relationship to other people, their families, their employers, their children, you know.
We're going to get back together to talk about that very soon.
Okay.
So I anguish a little bit for what you have been through every time. My colleague got drafted into the war. I got volunteered into the post-Vietnam Army. So it's my colleagues who suffered, and I respect their service. We'll get together next time.